Mom said drop out of college to pay for Golden Girl Sis's school and swanky life. I've got an older sister who's 3 years my senior and a younger brother who's 8 years younger than me. I'm the middle child. And as you might guess, that's come with its fair share of issues. Years ago, when I was gearing up for my 3rd year at university, I approached my mom like any normal day to discuss the tuition fee. I had always been a diligent student, balancing my academics with the expectations at home. But that day, her reaction was anything but normal. Instead of the usual discussion about payment plans and budgets, she got extremely frustrated and snapped at me to take a semester off. This suggestion blindsided me. We ended up in a heated argument where she finally spilled the beans. It turned out they couldn't afford to pay for both my sisters and my tuition anymore. You see, they had planned their finances based on both of us graduating in 4 years. But here's the catch. My sister was supposed to have graduated by the end of my 1st year at university. Instead, she was still floundering in a transitional college, which is usually just a stepping stone of 1 to 2 years. Yet, she had been stuck there for 5 years. I was floored. All my life, I had maintained straight A's, focusing on my studies with the end goal clearly in sight. During our argument, I was so frustrated that I even threatened to drop out completely. To my surprise, this seemed to relieve my mom. She actually wanted me to quit university, get a full-time job, and hand over my earnings to support the entire family. Despite the emotional turmoil, I refused to let my academic goals die. I took out a student loan, secured 3 part-time jobs, and somehow managed to juggle everything. By the time I graduated, in the expected 4 years, mind you, with a double major and an extended minor, I had paid off all my loans. I walked out of university completely debt-free. Throughout this time, I kept my parents in the dark about my financial struggles and achievements, though I suspected they knew more than they let on. I didn't invite them to my graduation. After everything that had happened, I moved out and started fresh. There's a whole backstory about how my parents and sister abused me, but that's too deep and painful to dive into right now. Essentially, there was no real financial hardship causing these decisions. It was a clear choice they made, preferring to allocate my intended funds to support my perpetually struggling sister instead. My sister's academic journey was a chaotic one. She bounced from one college to another for over 10 years, never managing to secure a degree or certificate. Yes. My parents financed this entire endeavor. Meanwhile, my brother faced his own challenges. Initially, he didn't get accepted into any universities but managed to secure a spot after writing a compelling second-chance essay. However, he dropped out after just a year, unable to cope with the demands. Though he's quite capable, his pride has kept him from pursuing a 2-year degree at a community college, which might have been more his speed. The twist in the story came recently. Out of nowhere, my mom called me furiously berating me for not inviting them to my graduation, which was 8 or 9 years ago. She screamed about how I was the only one in the family to graduate from university and called me for depriving them of the chance to see me walk the stage. I was so taken aback by her outburst. I just held the phone away from my ear as she vented her rage. When she finally ran out of steam, I calmly responded with a lie just to throw her off and end the conversation. I told her, I don't know what you're talking about. I dropped out of university and never graduated. I have to go now. Bye. And with that, I hung up. Sitting back and reflecting on this entire journey, it's clear that the path I've taken, while lonely at times, has been necessary for my growth and sanity. It's a saga filled with struggle, perseverance, and ultimately, a kind of bittersweet victory. So am I the asshole for doing that? Edit 1. Growing up in a typical Asian family, there's this huge emphasis on education. It's, like, super important. But there's also often this expectation that the oldest daughter has got to be the star, the pride of the family. That was totally the case in my family. My mom, she really put all her bets on my older sister. She wanted so badly for her to succeed and be that source of family pride, which I get to some extent. It's a cultural thing, really pushing for your kids, especially your first daughter, to do well. But here's where things get messed up. While she was so focused on her, it felt like she was willing to sacrifice my chances to shine. And that hurt, you know? It felt super unfair, especially because in our culture, having a degree and doing well in school is a big deal. So when it came down to choosing between supporting her education over mine, she picked her, even though she was, to put it mildly, not exactly killing it academically. She kept messing up, bouncing from one college to another, and just not taking it seriously. Meanwhile, there I was, busting my butt day in, day out. I was juggling classes and multiple jobs to pay for my own tuition because my mom had redirected all her financial support to my sister. Every single day, as I worked those long hours after classes, I'd remember the reason why. It fueled this grudge inside me. I was angry and felt sidelined in my own family. And, yeah, holding on to that grudge felt petty at times, like maybe I was just being bitter. But at the same time, it felt justified. I was doing everything right, following all the rules I was supposed to, working hard, and still getting the short end of the stick.